The U.S. has already committed $113 billion in aid to Ukraine, and more is being offered, as you heard. Blinken announced a new aid package for another $1 billion during that visit. Ukraine's also having a dilemma on when to hold presidential elections. After all, we're told over and over that Ukraine is a democracy. Presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy tweeted Zelensky's veiled threat to forgo democratic elections in Ukraine unless the American people cough up another $135 million in funding represents a new level of extortion of the United States. Our nation is being duped by a leader in Ukraine willing to sacrifice his own nation's credibility as a democracy in a gambit to secure even more money from U.S. taxpayers. This is wrong. With us now, NewsNation senior political contributor, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist George Will, who is out with a column. This is not why we planned the segment, why conservatives should support Ukraine in this morning's Washington Post. I guess the question is not why we should support Ukraine, to me, but is why we should not demand real deliverables from Zelensky for our support.
Well, first of all, Mr. Ramaswamy suggests that Zelensky might cancel the elections. I think that's how people would read that. The elections can't be held in wartime as a matter of law in Ukraine unless the Ukrainian parliament authorizes it. He's asking for help because he needs help. There are 6.2 million Ukrainian refugees who have to be brought into this. The logistics of an election are very difficult. And by the way, democracy in wartime, during the Second World War, Britain didn't have a single foreign soldier, enemy soldier on their island. Britain did not hold elections until after VE Day in Europe.
All right, so I understand the precedents. That said, the Biden administration's policy appears to be we're going to support Ukraine until the end, and we're going to let Ukraine define what the end is. And depending on how you look at it, territorial integrity would include Crimea. We could be at this for many, 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 many years. It is becoming a problem not only for Democrats, but for Republicans as well, this internal split. Is there ever a time that Republicans should have the right, even though they should support Ukraine, to demand from Zelensky some concessions, some willingness to negotiate with Putin, some willingness to acknowledge, as even the Allies did in World War I, that this is going to be a negotiated peace, as it was in Korea, as it was in Vietnam, as it was during Desert Storm?
Every war ends, and every war ends usually with negotiations. Unconditional surrender, which is our template from World War II, is quite unusual. But when you talk about concessions, does the United States want to be complicit in rewarding the war crime of waging aggressive war that Putin has done? Now, if he does not go back and is not pushed back, not out of Crimea, but back to the February 24th, 2022 starting point of this war, he will have won, and the United States has an interest in him not winning.
Okay. And that is the case that you make. Real quick, I only got about 15 or 20 seconds. What is the chance that this issue divides the Republican Party in a way that will make it perhaps highly untenable for a Republican to win in the fall?
Depends on which Republican wins. We have several Republicans, Pence and Nikki Haley, for example, who are firm in support of this. The Republican Senate contingent is fairly firm in support of this. It's divided, but it's not divided that much. There are 70 votes against Ukraine in the House among Republicans, but they do not reflect the party, I think.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.